Emma Bennett spotted him across the crowded ballroom, and her glass of champagne nearly slipped from her trembling fingers. Nathan, her manipulative ex-boyfriend, was here at the gala, heading straight toward her with that familiar predatory smile that once made her heart race, but now filled her with dread. She scanned the room desperately for an escape route, but the sea of elegant gowns and tuxedos offered nowhere to hide. "Emma," Nathan's voice was honey smooth as he approached. "You look stunning tonight. I've missed you." Emma's throat tightened. "Nathan, I didn't expect to see you here." She tried to keep her voice steady, professional, aware of the high-profile nature of the charity gala. As the head curator for the Metropolitan Museum's modern art collection, she couldn't afford to create a scene. "I made a substantial donation to ensure my invitation," he said, reaching for her arm. "We need to talk. You've been ignoring my calls for months. There's nothing to discuss." Emma pulled away, her eyes darting around the room. "Please respect that our relationship is over." Nathan's charming facade slipped for a moment, his eyes hardening. "I don't accept that, Em. We were good together. You're being unreasonable." Before Emma could respond, a deep voice cut through their conversation. "Miss Bennett, there you are. I believe we have that meeting with the foundation directors in 5 minutes." Emma turned to find herself looking up into the intense dark eyes of Ryan Reynolds, CEO of Reynolds Architectural Innovations. She recognized him immediately. His company was one of the gala's primary sponsors, and his architectural firm was renowned for revitalizing historic buildings worldwide. Tall, broad-shouldered, with salt and pepper hair that made him look distinguished rather than old, Ryan Reynolds exuded quiet confidence. "Mr. Reynolds," she said, momentarily confused but grateful for the interruption. "I didn't realize. I can see you're caught up at the moment," Ryan continued smoothly, shooting a pointed look at Nathan. "But the directors are eager to hear your insights on the museum's upcoming exhibition." Nathan's eyes narrowed as he sized up Ryan. "We're having a private conversation here." "And now it's concluded," Ryan stated firmly without raising his voice. "Miss Bennett has professional obligations this evening." Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Yes, thank you for the reminder, Mr. Reynolds. Nathan, I need to go." "I'll catch you later then," Nathan said with a forced smile that didn't reach his eyes. "We're not finished, Emma." Ryan placed a gentle hand on Emma's back, guiding her away from Nathan and toward a quieter corner of the ballroom. Once they were out of earshot, he dropped his hand and turned to her with concern. "I apologize for the intrusion, Miss Bennett. You seemed uncomfortable, and I thought you might appreciate an exit strategy." Emma released a shaky breath. "Thank you, that was very perceptive of you." "And please call me Emma." "Ryan," he offered in return. "I don't actually have a meeting with any directors. I just thought you might need rescuing." "My hero," Emma said with a small laugh, feeling the tension drain from her shoulders. "How did you know?" Ryan's expression turned serious. "I recognize the signs of someone trying to exercise control. In my position, you learn to read people quickly." He paused. "Former relationship?" "Yes, one I've been trying to put firmly in the past." She glanced over her shoulder, relieved to see Nathan had moved to the bar. "Nathan has trouble understanding boundaries, or the word no." "I noticed." Ryan's jaw tightened slightly. "Would you like me to have security keep an eye on him?" Emma shook her head. "No, that's not necessary. I don't want to cause a scene. This gala is too important for the museum." "Your comfort and safety are important too," Ryan countered. "But I respect your decision. Perhaps I could offer you my company for a while. It might discourage further approaches." Emma studied him for a moment. Ryan Reynolds was undeniably attractive, but it was the kindness in his eyes that struck her most. He didn't have the slick charm that Nathan had used to draw her in. Instead, there was something solid and genuine about him. "I'd like that," she said finally. "And honestly, I was hoping to speak with you anyway. Your restoration work on the Hawthorne building was remarkable. We're planning an architectural exhibition next year, and your insights would be valuable." Ryan's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "I'd be happy to contribute." The Hawthorne project was a labor of love, balancing modern functionality with historical preservation. For the next hour, Emma found herself engrossed in conversation with Ryan. She discovered he was passionate and knowledgeable, with none of the arrogance she might have expected from someone of his stature. He listened to her ideas with genuine interest, asked thoughtful questions about her work at the museum, and made her laugh with stories of architectural disasters averted. As they conversed, Emma occasionally caught glimpses of Nathan watching them from across the room, his expression darkening each time she smiled at something Ryan said. "Your ex doesn't seem pleased with our conversation," Ryan noted quietly after catching Nathan glaring their way for the third time. Emma sighed. "Nathan has always been possessive. It's one of the reasons I ended things. He became increasingly controlling, criticizing my friends, my work decisions, even the way I dressed. When I finally broke it off, he refused to accept it was over. How long has he been harassing you?" "It's been 6 months of accidental run-ins, unwanted gifts at my apartment, and calls from different numbers." Emma rubbed her temple, a headache beginning to form. "I've considered a restraining order, but I worried it might affect my professional reputation." Ryan frowned. "Your safety should come first, and for what it's worth, standing up for yourself wouldn't damage your reputation in the eyes of anyone who matters." Before Emma could respond, the orchestra began playing a waltz and couples moved toward the center of the ballroom. "Would you care to dance?" Ryan asked, extending his hand. "It might help solidify our meeting cover story." Emma hesitated only briefly before placing her hand in his. "I'd like that." As Ryan led her onto the dance floor, Emma was acutely aware of his hand resting lightly against her back. He moved with surprising grace for such a tall man, guiding her effortlessly through the steps of the waltz. "You dance well for an architect," she teased. "My mother insisted on lessons, said no son of hers would stumble around at formal events." His eyes crinkled when he smiled. "Though I admit I haven't had much opportunity to practice lately. Running a company doesn't leave much time for ballroom dancing. Or much of a personal life at all, I imagine," Emma ventured. "It can be all-consuming," Ryan admitted, "but that's just an excuse. The truth is, I haven't prioritized anything beyond work since my divorce 5 years ago." Emma nodded, appreciating his honesty. "I understand. After Nathan, I've thrown myself into my work too. It's safer." "Safer, yes, but fulfilling." Ryan's gaze was thoughtful as he twirled her gently. "I've been questioning that lately." The music swelled around them, and Emma was struck by how comfortable she felt in Ryan's arms. It had been so long since she'd allowed herself to enjoy a man's company without analyzing his every word for hidden manipulation. Their dance ended too soon, and Ryan reluctantly released her as the music transitioned to a more upbeat number. They moved off the dance floor, and Emma realized she'd completely forgotten about Nathan during their dance. Her moment of peace was short-lived. As they reached the edge of the dance floor, Nathan appeared, his expression tight with barely controlled anger. "Having fun, Emma?" he asked, his voice low. "I didn't realize you were so eager to move on." Emma stiffened. "Nathan, please don't do this here." "Do what?" "I'm just making conversation with my girlfriend and her friend." The emphasis he placed on the word made it sound like an accusation. "Ex-girlfriend," Emma corrected firmly. "As I've told you repeatedly." Ryan stepped slightly forward, not aggressively but creating a subtle barrier between Emma and Nathan. "Mr. Daniels, Nathan Daniels," he supplied with a cold smile. "Mr. Daniels," Ryan continued calmly, "this is neither the time nor place for this conversation. I suggest you enjoy the rest of the gala elsewhere." Nathan's face flushed. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Ryan Reynolds, "and I'm asking you politely to leave Miss Bennett alone." Nathan's eyes widened slightly with recognition of the name. Ryan's company was well known, and Nathan, as a real estate investor, would certainly be familiar with Reynolds' architectural innovations. "This is between Emma and me," Nathan insisted, but with less confidence. "We have history." "History isn't the same as a future," Ryan replied evenly. "And Emma has made her wishes clear." Nathan looked at Emma, his expression hardening. "Is this why you've been avoiding me? You're sleeping with some rich architect now?" "That's enough," Emma said, her voice quiet but firm. You need to leave, Nathan, now, or I will have security escort you out. Nathan leaned closer, his voice a harsh whisper. This isn't over, Emma. You think you can just throw away what we had? You'll regret this. Before Emma could respond, Ryan made a subtle gesture and 2 security personnel materialized beside them. Mr. Daniels was just leaving, Ryan informed them. Please see him to the exit. Nathan's face contorted with fury, but surrounded by witnesses and security, he had little choice. Fine, I'll go, but remember what I said, Emma. You'll regret this. As security escorted Nathan toward the exit, Emma felt her legs weaken with relief and residual fear. Ryan guided her to a nearby chair. Are you all right? He asked, genuine concern in his eyes. Yes, Emma took a deep breath. Thank you again. I'm not usually this damsel in distress, I promise. You handled yourself admirably, Ryan assured her, and there's nothing wrong with accepting help when someone's trying to intimidate you. Emma looked up at him. How did you get security here so quickly? I may have arranged for them to keep an eye on us after our conversation earlier, Ryan admitted, just in case. That was thoughtful. Emma found herself touched by his foresight. I should probably go home. I'm not going to be very good company for the rest of the evening. Let me call you a car, Ryan offered. And if you're comfortable with it, I'd like to make sure you get home safely. Emma hesitated, her instincts for self-protection warring with her desire to trust this man who had shown her nothing but respect and kindness. I promise to leave you at your door, Ryan added, seemingly reading her thoughts. It would make me feel better knowing you arrived home safely, especially after Nathan's threats. Emma nodded, making her decision. I'd appreciate that, thank you. 30 minutes later, Ryan's driver pulled up in front of Emma's brownstone in Brooklyn. The car ride had been comfortable, with Ryan respecting her need for quiet reflection after the stressful encounter. As the car stopped, Emma turned to him. Would you like to come in for coffee? As a proper thank you for rescuing me twice in one evening, Ryan smiled. I'd like that if you're sure you're up for company. Emma's apartment was on the 2nd floor of a renovated brownstone. It was small but filled with carefully chosen art pieces, books, and comfortable furniture. As she prepared coffee in the kitchen, Ryan admired a small abstract sculpture on her bookshelf. This is beautiful, he commented. Reminds me of Calder's work. Emma smiled, pleased by his observation. It's by one of my favorite emerging artists. I try to support new talent when I can. She handed him a mug of coffee and they settled on her couch, a comfortable distance apart. I'm sorry about how the evening ended, Ryan said. Nathan seemed unhinged, Emma supplied. He's gotten worse since the breakup. Tonight was a new low, though. Ryan's expression grew serious. Emma, his behavior is concerning. Those weren't idle threats he was making. I know, she sighed. I've been hoping he'd just give up and move on, but it's becoming clear that isn't happening. Would you consider filing for a restraining order now? Ryan asked gently. I know you're concerned about your professional reputation, but your safety has to come first. Emma wrapped her hands around her coffee mug, drawing comfort from its warmth. You're right, I'll contact my lawyer tomorrow. Good. Ryan hesitated, then continued. I know we've just met, but I'd like to help if I can. My company has excellent security consultants who could advise on home safety measures. Emma looked at him, surprised by his continued concern. That's very generous, but I couldn't impose. It's not an imposition. It would be a professional courtesy to a colleague in the arts world. His smile was warm. And perhaps a friend. I'd like that, Emma replied softly. Being friends. They talked for another hour, the conversation flowing easily from art to architecture, books to travel. Emma found herself laughing at Ryan's dry humor and insightful observations. When he finally rose to leave, she realized she didn't want him to go. Thank you for the coffee and the conversation, Ryan said at her door. Despite the circumstances, I've enjoyed getting to know you tonight, Emma. Me too, she admitted. It's been unexpectedly nice. Ryan pulled out a business card and handed it to her. My personal number is on the back. Please call me if you need anything or if Nathan shows up again. Their fingers brushed as she took the card, and Emma felt a small jolt of awareness at the contact. I will, and thank you again for everything. Ryan's eyes held hers for a moment longer than necessary. "Good night, Emma." After he left, Emma leaned against her closed door, thinking about the strange turns the evening had taken. She'd gone to the gala dreading the necessary networking, only to find herself threatened by her ex and rescued by one of the most eligible bachelors in New York. Ryan Reynolds was nothing like she would have expected from someone of his wealth and status. He was kind, perceptive, and refreshingly genuine. The next morning, Emma was reviewing exhibition proposals in her office at the museum when her assistant, Lucy, knocked on her door. "There's a delivery for you," Lucy said, eyeing the large arrangement in her arms with curiosity. "These are gorgeous." Emma's heart sank as she accepted the flowers, expecting them to be from Nathan. His pattern of unwanted gifts was all too familiar. But when she opened the small envelope, she was pleasantly surprised. "I hope these brighten your day after last night's difficulties. I've taken the liberty of arranging a security consultation for tomorrow at 2 p.m. if that works for you. Let me know." Emma found herself smiling as she texted him a thank you and confirmed the appointment. Over the next week, Ryan kept in touch with thoughtful messages and occasional calls, always respectful of her space while making it clear he was available if she needed support. The security consultant he sent made several recommendations for her apartment, which Ryan insisted on paying for as a business expense. Emma had filed for a restraining order against Nathan, and while the legal process moved forward, she was grateful for Ryan's steady presence in her life. They met for lunch twice, and each time she found herself more drawn to his quiet strength and genuine interest in her work. 2 weeks after the gala, Ryan invited her to dinner at an intimate restaurant in the West Village. As they lingered over dessert, Emma realized how comfortable she felt with him. There was none of the anxiety she'd experienced with Nathan, no walking on eggshells or calculating her responses. "I have a confession to make," Ryan said as they shared a chocolate souffle. "I knew who you were before the gala." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I attended the opening of your modern sculpture exhibition last year. Your curator's talk was impressive, the way you made those complex pieces accessible without oversimplifying them." He looked slightly embarrassed. "I wanted to introduce myself then, but you were surrounded by admirers." "So you've been stalking me for a year," Emma teased, touched by his admission. "Hardly," Ryan laughed. "But when I saw you at the gala, I recognized you immediately. Then I saw your interaction with Nathan and—" He shrugged. "The rest you know." "My knight in shining armor," Emma said softly. "Or should I say my architect in a tailored suit?" Ryan's expression grew more serious. "Emma, I want you to know that I'm not trying to rush you into anything. I know you're dealing with Nathan and the restraining order, and the last thing you need is pressure from another man." "I appreciate that," Emma said, touched by his consideration. "But I've enjoyed getting to know you, Ryan. You're different in all the best ways." Their eyes met across the table, and Emma felt her heart quicken at the warmth in his gaze. As he walked her home that evening, their hands brushed several times before Ryan finally took her hand in his. His touch was warm and sure, and Emma found herself tightening her fingers around his. At her door, Ryan hesitated. "I'd like to see you again, Emma, not just as friends, if you're open to that possibility." Emma looked up at him, at this man who had shown her nothing but respect and kindness from the moment they'd met. "I'd like that too." Ryan's smile was warm as he leaned down and pressed a gentle kiss to her cheek. "Good night, Emma." Over the next month, their relationship deepened. They went to art exhibitions, architectural tours, and quiet dinners where they talked for hours. Ryan never pushed for more than Emma was ready to give, and she found herself slowly lowering the walls she'd built after Nathan. The restraining order against Nathan was granted, providing Emma with some peace of mind. Ryan was there for the hearing, a solid presence in the back of the courtroom, giving her strength without taking over. He understood her need to face this challenge herself while still offering his unwavering support. One evening, as they walked through Central Park after dinner, Ryan stopped by the lake and turned to face her. "I have something to ask you," he said, his expression earnest. "Reynolds Architectural is hosting its annual charity gala next month. It's our biggest event of the year, raising funds for historical preservation and architecture education programs. I'd like you to come as my date. Emma hesitated. You mean publicly? Ryan nodded. Yes. I know we've been keeping things quiet while you dealt with the restraining order, but I don't want to hide how I feel about you anymore. He took her hands in his. Unless you're not ready for that step. Emma considered his request. They had been careful to keep their relationship private, partly due to the Nathan situation and partly because they both valued their privacy. But the thought of attending an event openly as Ryan's partner filled her with unexpected joy. I'd be honored, she said finally, but are you sure? The press will be there and once they see us together. I'm very sure, Ryan said firmly. I want everyone to know how important you are to me, Emma. That night, Ryan kissed her for the first time, a tender, questioning kiss that deepened when Emma responded with all the emotion that had been building between them for weeks. When they finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Emma knew she was falling in love with him. The night of Ryan's gala arrived with a flurry of anticipation. Emma chose a midnight blue gown that complemented her auburn hair and fair complexion. When Ryan arrived to pick her up, his appreciative gaze made her blush. You are absolutely stunning, he said, taking her hand. I'll be the envy of every person there tonight, Emma smiled. You clean up pretty well yourself. Ryan was magnificent in his tuxedo, his tall frame commanding attention even in a room full of wealthy and powerful people. But what struck Emma most throughout the evening was how he never used his position to dominate or intimidate. He introduced her to everyone as Emma Bennett, the brilliant curator from the Metropolitan Museum, always highlighting her accomplishments before his own. As they mingled with guests, Emma noticed the curious glances and whispered conversations. Ryan Reynolds had never brought a date to his company's gala before, and the significance wasn't lost on anyone. Midway through the evening, Ryan was called to the stage to give a speech. Emma watched with pride as he spoke passionately about the importance of preserving architectural heritage while creating spaces for future generations. Architecture isn't just about buildings, he told the audience. It's about creating environments where people can thrive, connect, and find meaning. It's about understanding that what we build today becomes someone else's history tomorrow. His words resonated with Emma's own philosophy about art and cultural preservation. As the crowd applauded, Ryan's eyes found hers in the audience, his smile intimate despite the hundreds of people between them. When he returned to her side, he took her hand and led her to a quiet balcony overlooking the city lights. The April night was cool but not cold, the sky clear and dotted with stars barely visible against New York's glow. There's something I need to tell you, Ryan said, his voice serious. Something I should have mentioned earlier. Emma felt a moment of apprehension. What is it? I've been offered a major project in London, a historical district revitalization that would take at least a year of hands-on oversight. Emma's heart sank. Oh, when would you leave? That depends, Ryan said, turning to face her fully. On you, on me. Emma was confused. I don't want to leave you, Emma. These past 2 months have been the happiest I've had in years. He took both her hands in his. I know it's fast, but I'm in love with you, and I need to know if there's any chance you might feel the same way. Emma felt tears spring to her eyes. Ryan, if you don't, I'll understand, he continued quickly. And I'll take the London project and give you space. But if there's any possibility that what we have could grow into something lasting, I'll find a way to manage the project remotely or turn it down entirely. Emma was stunned by his declaration. No man had ever put her first this way, certainly not Nathan, who had expected her to rearrange her entire life to accommodate his whims. She reached up and touched Ryan's face gently. I do love you, she whispered. But I would never ask you to give up an opportunity like that. Relief and joy washed over Ryan's features. You love me? Yes, Emma smiled through her tears. But that doesn't solve the London problem. Ryan pulled her close. Actually, it does. Because if you love me too, then we'll figure it out together. He hesitated, then added, The Metropolitan Museum has a partnership with the Victoria and Albert Museum, doesn't it? Emma nodded slowly, seeing where he was going. Yes, we do frequent exchanges and collaborative exhibitions. And you've mentioned wanting to explore more international curatorial opportunities, Ryan continued. So maybe, if you were interested, we could look into possibilities that would allow us both to be in London for a while. Emma was touched by how carefully he had considered this, making sure to include her career aspirations rather than simply expecting her to follow him. That's a big step, she said softly. It is, Ryan agreed, and we don't have to decide tonight. But I want you to know that whatever comes next, I want us to face it together. In that moment, with the city lights twinkling below them and the stars above, Emma made a bold decision. She stepped forward, wrapped her arms around Ryan's neck, and kissed him deeply, publicly, not caring who might see them from inside the ballroom. When they finally pulled apart, Ryan looked slightly dazed. "What was that for?" "For being you," Emma said simply. "For showing me what it feels like to be truly respected and loved, for making me brave enough to trust again." Ryan's eyes shone with emotion as he pulled her close once more. "I promise I'll never give you reason to regret that trust." 6 months later, Emma stood in the doorway of their London apartment, watching Ryan as he worked at his drafting table. They had both taken the leap, Ryan overseeing his company's biggest international project to date, and Emma working on a special joint exhibition between the Metropolitan and the V&A. The transition hadn't been seamless. They'd had arguments about work hours, living arrangements, and adjusting to life in a new city. But unlike her relationship with Nathan, Emma never doubted that she and Ryan were equal partners, working through challenges together with mutual respect and love. Ryan looked up and caught her watching him. "Penny for your thoughts," Emma smiled and crossed the room to him. "I was just thinking about that night at the gala when you rescued me from Nathan. Did you ever imagine we'd end up here?" Ryan pulled her onto his lap. "Honestly. From the moment I saw you across that ballroom, I hoped we might." "Really?" Emma laughed. "Even when I was a damsel in distress with an unhinged ex-boyfriend." "Especially then," Ryan said, his expression serious, "because I saw how strong you were even when you were afraid. You never played the victim, even when Nathan was trying to cast you in that role." Emma rested her head against his shoulder. "You know what the biggest difference is? With Nathan, I always felt like I was performing, trying to be the perfect girlfriend he wanted. With you, I just get to be me." Ryan kissed her softly. "That's all I ever want, just you exactly as you are." Later that evening, as they walked hand in hand along the Thames, Ryan stopped suddenly and turned to face her. "I had planned to do this differently," he said, reaching into his pocket. "With a fancy dinner and all the traditional trimmings. But standing here with you, I can't wait another moment." Emma's breath caught as Ryan dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box. "Emma Bennett, you've taught me that true strength lies in vulnerability and that real love is built on mutual respect and trust. You've made me happier than I ever thought possible." He opened the box, revealing a stunning emerald ring surrounded by small diamonds. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled Emma's eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." As Ryan slipped the ring onto her finger and rose to kiss her, Emma thought about the journey that had brought them here. From a chance encounter at a gala where he had protected her from Nathan's manipulation, to this moment of pure joy beside the Thames. One bold move, his decision to step in that night, her choice to kiss him publicly at his gala, had changed everything. And now, as they held each other beneath London's evening sky, Emma knew she had found not just safety, but a love that empowered rather than diminished her. "I love you, Ryan Reynolds," she whispered against his lips. "And I love you, future Mrs. Reynolds," he replied, holding her close as the lights of London twinkled around them, bearing witness to the beginning of their forever.